So what is a DAW? Today we're going to talk a little bit about that, and we're also going to talk about how Tron is an underappreciated Disney classic that needs a sequel made as soon as possible. Hi, this is Matt with Podcast Dictionary, and today we're going to talk about what is a DAW. Now you're going to hear probably this phrase in two different ways. You'll either hear DAW or you'll hear it said as DAW. It means the same thing. It's a digital audio workstation. This is the software you're going to be recording everything to. Now the purpose of a DAW is to take analog audio signals, voices, instruments, whatever you're recording, and transfer it into a digital realm where you can make your edits and adjustments to it. Kind of like what happened with Flynn in Tron and Flynn's son in the sequel to Tron. They were digitized and sent over to the grid. Just make the next movie, Disney. That's all I'm saying. Make another Tron. It's underappreciated. Blue laser lights will always be what the future looks like, and you need to get in on that.
I fight for the users.
Anyway, it's the software that you need to be the most familiar with. As an editor or a podcaster or a recording engineer or anything you're doing music-wise, this software is going to be where you're spending a lot of your time. So you want to be really comfortable with it. So make sure you're spending the time to get to know that software really well. So we're going to go through some different components of that software right now so you kind of have a good basis of where to start from. There are four major components of a DAW that you need to be familiar with when you start recording. The first one is the audio track. Now whether you're recording directly into the software or you're recording maybe onto a field recorder or some other kind of recording device and then putting that audio into the software, the audio track is where your waveform is going to show up within the software. That's where you're going to make your edits and your cuts. So you need to be really familiar with where those are at, how to create an audio track. They're a little bit different process, but it's all pretty similar with a lot of these, but they are a little bit different. So make sure you know how to create an audio track, as that's the first major part of what you're doing. If you are recording directly to the software via an interface, you want to make sure you have routing figured out. Routing within your software is where basically you're telling your computer where to look for the audio and where to put it within the software. Some of the smaller interfaces, it's pretty automatically set up. Some bigger interfaces, if you're recording with those, there might be a little more involved in the routing process. Maybe you've got 4 people on a podcast and they each are recording on a different audio track within your software. You need to be familiar with how to tell the computer where to look for what within that. Most of those are set up in a grid type situation where it's pretty much just drag and drop, click where you want the signal to go. But be familiar with how to set those up. That way you're not scrambling when the actual time to recording comes. Now, back in the day with more analog type gear, there were hardware pieces of equipment that you could run your signal, your audio signal through to manipulate and change your audio. Things like compressors, EQs, limiters, lots of different equipment. All physical hardware pieces of gear that your signal would actually go through. Now within software, you can do most of those things within what's called plugins. They're smaller software versions of a lot of these big hardware pieces of equipment that just open up directly within inside the DAW or your DAW. Some softwares even have presets depending on what you're working with to kind of give you a leg up on production, so you kind of know where to get started with if you haven't done this before. But be familiar with what a plugin is and how to add them to your track. That way you can compress your signal, do whatever kind of changes to the audio that you're looking to do. And finally, within the software, you need to know how to get your audio out of it so that you can hear it wherever you want to have it. Where it's a file you can share to your podcast host or to your friends or to YouTube or whatever. So you need to know how to export your audio. Again, the process is going to be a little bit different, but just make sure you know where to go to get that audio file exported, how you your options for exporting it depending on what you're working on. You need to be concerned about bit rate, sample rate, type of file that you're exporting. Make sure you know all the pieces of information and know how to make those changes while you're exporting. Now there are probably 2 pretty popular softwares you might have already heard about or done some looking into if you've already done recording. You've probably heard about Audacity, especially if you're in the PC realm. The Audacity is kind of that free software a lot of people end up turning to. Because it's free, it's a popular software. It's not the be-all end-all DAW that I would recommend, but it's a good free solution if you're looking for something that's free to start with. If you're in the Mac realm, you've already got access to GarageBand, another free software you can download, which is another great solution. Again, there's room to grow for both of these. There's lots of different paid versions of DAW or DAW software that you could buy. Personally, my go-to recommendation when it comes to a DAW is Studio One, kind of a white horse, and I'm going to make a video explaining why I think that's a great software to look into sometime in the near future, but give that one a look if you're looking to invest in the next level up from software. So the takeaway with DAWs is that use what you have. If you've got access to a free software, start recording with that. If you've got some funds to invest into getting into a different software, do some quick research, make a choice, and get to learning the software. The more you know the software, the easier it'll be to operate, so you can focus on just the content you're looking to create, which is what every content creator wants to do, whether you're podcasting, recording, making videos. That's the work you want to really focus on. So get familiar with your tools and then get to creating. Well, that's about it for today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up down below. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't, so that way you can keep up to date with all the new terms. And thanks again for listening.